Hello, dear friends. Myself, Manish, am from Department of Mathematics, here College Rewari. We have developed Module 1 for Group 4 Science, Group 2. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the introduction to cybersecurity. In fact, we are formulating Unit 1.1, the basics of cybersecurity. Here we learn how to protect your digital world. Now, before further moving, we should talk about the cybersecurity overview. In fact, cybersecurity refers to the practice of protecting systems, networks, and data from digital threats. With the increasing use of technology, it is essential to safeguard personal and organizational data from potential cyber attacks. Now, before we proceed further, we should brief what we are going to do in this presentation or in this lecture. Here are the content part. Number one, key cybersecurity terms we are going to discuss. Then after it, we are going to discuss about principles of cybersecurity, then common cybersecurity threats, then best practices for cybersecurity. Afterwards, we shall discuss about cybersecurity tools, then risk management in cybersecurity, and finally, we shall discuss about the conclusion. Now, what do we mean by cybersecurity terms? We are having three type of cybersecurity terms. The first one is threats, second one is vulnerabilities, and the third one is risk. Now, what do we mean by threats? Any potential event or action that could harm your system or data. Threats can come from external attackers or internal actors. For example, malware, phishing attacks, or unauthorized access to a system. All this comes under the category of threats. Then number two, we are having vulnerabilities. Now, what do we mean by vulnerabilities? Weaknesses in a system, application, or network that can be exploited by a threat. For example, outdated software or weak passwords are common vulnerabilities. Now, finally, we are having the third type of key cybersecurity term that comes under the category of risk. Now, what do we mean by risk? The potential damage or loss when a threat exploits a vulnerability. For example, a data breach caused by malware due to unpatched software could result in significant financial and reputational loss. Now we are having principles of cybersecurity. These are classified into four parts. Number one is confidentiality, then integrability, then availability, and finally we are having authentication and authorization. Now, what do we mean by confidentiality? What do we mean by confidentiality? Now, confidentiality is a term that ensures that sensitive information is only accessible to authorized individuals. That is, keeping information secret. For example, encryption is used to keep emails or financial records confidential. After that, we are having integrity. Now, what do we mean by integrity? Ensuring that data is accurate, consistent, and has not been altered. For example, digital signatures or cryptographic hashes verify that data remains unchanged. Next, we are having availability. Systems accessible when needed. That is, ensuring the systems data are available when needed. For example, using backup servers and cloud storage to maintain access in case of hardware failure. And finally, we are having authentication and authorization. Now, in this category, we verify the user identities and accessibility. Now, we should proceed towards common cybersecurity threats. Number one, we are having actually four of such types. Number one, malware. Number two, phishing. Number three, denial of services. And number four, man in the middle. Now, what do we mean by malware? Now, malware is the term that defines malicious software designed to harm, steal, or disrupt data. For example, ransomware locks your data and demands payment for its release. Number two, phishing. Phishing is the deceptive attempt to trick users into providing sensitive information, often through emails or fake websites. For example, an email pretending to be from your bank asking for your login credentials. Then we are having denial of services, DOS. In this case, an attack that overwhelms a system with traffic, making it inaccessible to legitimate users. For example, a website being flooded with fake requests, preventing real users from accessing it. And finally, we are having man in the middle. Uh, in this category, attacker intercepts communication between parties. These are again the common cybersecurity threats. Number one, malware. And some examples are viruses, worms, ransomware. Number two, phishing. Deceptive emails or websites comes under this category. Then social engineering, manipulating people to revolve information. Then finally, we are having denial of services. In this case, overloading, overloading systems to make them unavailable. Now, what are the best practices for cybersecurity? We are having main four best practices. Number one, software update. Number two, strong passwords. Number three, encrypt sensitive data. Number four, regular backups. Now, what are the cybersecurity tools? Antivirus softwares, firewalls, intrusion detection system, and data loss prevention. In antivirus system, detects and removes malware. Firewalls block unauthorized network accesses. IDS monitor for suspicious activity. And finally, DLP prevents sensitive data from leaving the network. Now, what are the risk management in cybersecurity? Number one is identifying the risk. Access assesses the vulnerability and threats. Number two, assess likelihood and impact, probability of risk occurring. And finally, mitigate risks. Implement security measures. Now, from this study, what we concluded: to protect data, apply these practices. Stay safe, beware of evolving threats. And finally, cybersecurity, balancing confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Thank you. Thanks.